Let's do this.
Senate will please come to order.
Oh, yeah, isn't that a nice idea?
Senator from Chittenden Central.
Thank you, Mr. President. We do have the yield bill, and that is one of our two remaining must-pass bills. So with that, Mr. President, I would move that pending entry on the notice calendar, we take up H 887, an act relating to homestead property tax yields, non-homestead rates, and policy changes to education, finance, and taxation for immediate action.
Now, the Senator from Chittenden Central has moved that the Senate suspend its rules in order to take up for immediate consideration H 887, an act relating to homestead property tax yields, non-homestead rates, and policy changes to education, finance, and taxation, pending entry on the notice calendar. Are you ready for the question? If so, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed indicate by saying nay. The ayes have it, and you suspend your rules in order to take up for immediate consideration H 887. We have, what do we have? A House proposal of amendment or a Senate proposal? A House proposal of amendment to the Senate proposal of amendment to H 887. With that, the question is, shall the Senate concur with that proposal of amendment? Senator from Washington.
Thank you, Mr. President. It's late. We haven't had time to do a side-by-side, but I realize that this has been through several mechanizations since it left here, so I have to remember where we left and fill you in. When the bill left this body, we had an education finance task force that would start this year to look at all the forces that were driving the property tax increases that this bill is dealing with. And then it had a commission on the future of education that would start next year. The House didn't like that. They wanted to just strike the whole studying of the finance and go through with the Senate education version, which had cut down the numbers from 23 to, I think, 13. But so they wanted to do that and strike any extra study of the finance system. Said no. So what we've landed on is that our concept is been melded into the commission. The Ed Committee's commission. There will be a subcommittee that will be charged with looking at all things related to finance. So we pretty much can do anything we want. And those members will be appointed. You can have members that are not on the commission because there's only 2 legislators on the commission, and then there's a steering committee of 6 people, 2 reported by the 2 appointed by the speaker, 2 by the committee on committees, and 2 by the governor. That steering committee will appoint the members of the Ed Finance Subcommittee, and they may choose members outside of the commission. So that's in there. And then they put in several finance sections looking at the costs and the funding system and the potential for an educational opportunities payment. That's all been melded into the bigger commission. So we're going to get, we're probably not going to get as much as we would have liked, but we will get something in the way of this study. There are interim reports in, I think it's September and then November next year. So if the subgroup comes up with proposals, as we'd hope, that could be put into legislation, there will be an opportunity to do that. Let's see. When the bill left here, we had raised enough funds to get the property tax increase down to 12.5%. But we didn't do anything to help increase the property tax credit for people that pay based on income, and that's over 60% of the people. It's it's a large majority of the folks. And because there's a lag, and what I didn't realize until I got into these discussions, we have the super circuit breaker. It's the property tax protection that has been there since I've been in government. It's been there a long time. It's set at 47,000, and there's a percentage that state and local property taxes can't go over, percentage of your income. What I didn't realize is that those folks who are the most financially vulnerable are also have the 1 year lag. So they're going to get the property tax increase this year, and they're not going to have any help. So, and last year's property tax increase was 4%. So if we're raising it 12, they're getting 4, they're going to have 8%. I think my math is right, that they have to come with out of pocket. So we've been doing a lot of numbers crunching, and what we've come up with is if we raise the average, and again, this is the average. Every town will have something different. It doesn't figure in your individual town's budget. This is the average. It doesn't figure in the CLA. So this is the average across the state. We would raise that to 3.8%, and that would allow us to increase the tax credit by 13%. So in the end, everybody is kind of at that 13% level. And we don't have the most vulnerable kind of sitting in a hole and needing to come up with, $100, which if you're making $29,000 a year is a lot. Some of the numbers being thrown around my city are $2,000 to $3,000. It's a lot of money to come up with if you're, in the lower income brackets. Let's see. The second thing, and I think the last thing that they did, you remember we had an excess spending cap when the bill came to us. It was at 120%. So if you spend 20% over the statewide average, you get taxed double on anything over that. We dropped it to 116. They want to split the difference and go to 118, and we've agreed to that. I think that's pretty much what is in this bill. Your Committee on Finance looked at this. This is the same as this. We looked at it as it was voted out of Ways and Means. No one sent me a note, so I'm assuming it wasn't altered on the floor. And our vote in committee was 6-1-0 to concur. And we asked this body to concur with us.
So the question is, shall the Senate concur with the House proposal of amendment to the Senate proposal of amendment on H 887, an act relating to homestead property tax yields, non-homestead rates, and policy changes to education, finance, and taxation? Are you ready for that question?
Roll call.
Roll call has been requested by the senator from Rutland. Are you ready for the question? If so, Senator from Orange.
Mr. President, this is what we do in this Senate on occasion is to tell each other what we already know. And I'm going to indulge myself in doing that. Small rural schools spread about in hilly and mountainous areas are more expensive to operate than schools in other places. Vermont's a poster child for a place that's expensive to educate children. I don't think anybody's surprised by that. Vermont spends more money per pupil than almost every one of the other 49 states. We've known that for quite a while. What does surprise many Vermonters is when Vermont students take nationwide tests that compete with other states. And this small state with rural, hilly, expensive schools routinely, over and over again, performs at the highest level. They say fights above their own weight. And we're in the top echelons year after year after year. Why? Well, we've got communities, school boards, teachers, citizens that work overtime to raise and justify and spend the money that gets us to the highest levels of performance in the entire nation. And it isn't cheap. People move here for that reason. I think every senator has met on several occasions each election. Vermont young people have left this state, often married, and when their kids get to be first graders or kindergarten, they come back. And when you ask them why'd they come back, they say, we want to come back to the schools that take care of kids, that perform, even though they're expensive. And we know that. No one has articulated the dilemma that we face better than the Chair of Finance. She's spoken to us about it and has worked to present the bill we have before us. This year is not just a bump in the road, but a big one. And the bill that we're about to concur with, I believe, takes that bump in the road and lowers it so we can get on with the study that tells us what we already know. We wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the COVID and the spending that had to deal with that and the people that were put in place to deal with that. The formula we have now is going to be looked at to see if it's the right one to deal with problems like that, or if we're going to take steps to go back to things that didn't used to work years ago. I wish us well when we pass this bill and we study what we already know and ask ourselves whether we wish to make changes that to a system that is the one of the highest performing in this country in a difficult environment because of a speed bump that we had in 1 year. Mr. President, I'm capable of going on for quite longer, telling senators what they already know. But I'm not going to do that. I wish the commission well. I don't expect it to find any surprises. think it'll be an arduous task because there were many interests who would seek to make this an opportunity to make a bunch of changes. And whoever participates in the commissions and the studies, I trust will keep in mind how we got to where we are now before we had this speed bump, and will not seek to undo for something that is different. And I wish the process well. I thank my colleagues for indulging me, telling them what they already know. And I will vote for this reluctantly because every once in a while you got to take stock of where you are and whether what you're doing is something worthy of continuing or you want to scrap it for something else. Thank you, Mr. President.
Question is, shall the Senate concur with the House proposal amendment to the Senate proposal amendment on H 887, an act relating to homestead property tax yield, non-homestead rates, and policy changes to education, finance, and taxation? Are you ready for the question? If so, the Secretary shall commence to call the roll.
Senator Baruch.
Yes.
Senator Gray.
Yes.
Senator Brock.
No.
Senator Champion.
Yes.
Senator Chittenden.
Yes.
Senator Clarkson.
Yes.
Senator Collmore.
No.
Senator Cummings.
Yes.
Senator Bueller. Senator Hardy.
Yes.
Senator Harrison.
Yes.
Senator Hashim.
Yes.
Senator Ingle.
No.
Senator Kitchell.
Yes.
Senator Lyons.
Yes.
Senator McDonald. Yes. Senator McCormick.
Yes.
Senator Norris.
No.
Senator Perschlick.
Yes.
Senator Ron Hinsdale. Senator Sears. Senator Starr.
No.
Senator Duhovsky.
Yes.
Senator Watson.
Yes.
Senator Weeks.
No.
Senator Westman.
No.
Senator White.
Yes.
Senator Williams.
No.
Senator Renner.
Yes.
Senator Bueller. Senator Ron Hinsdale. Senator Sears.
Please listen to the results of your vote. Those voting yea, 18. Those voting nay, 8. And you have concurred with the House proposal of amendment to the Senate proposal of amendment on H 887. Senator from Chittenden Central.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would move that our rules be suspended and that we message the actions just taken on H 887 to the House forthwith.
Now, the Senator from Chittenden Central has moved that the Senate suspend its rules in order to message your action taken on H 887 to the House forthwith. Are you ready for the question? If so, all is in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed indicate by saying nay. The ayes have it, and you've suspended your rules in order to message your action taken on H 887 to the House forthwith. Senator from Chittenden Central.
I believe, and I'll look to the Senate Secretary, that we have no further bills to act upon. So with that, Mr. President, I would move that we stand in recess until 12:30 a.m.
So the Senator from Chittenden Central moves that the Senate stand in recess until 12:30. Are you ready for the question? That is 12:30 a.m. on May 11th, I believe. Are you ready for the question? If so, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed indicate by saying nay. The ayes have it, and you'll stand in recess until 12:30 a.m.